and are running away, and the police authorities are dragging them out the vans to make them fight because they don't want to fight. I think the Russians try to escape as well. This is Ukrainians. You'll see it for yourself. They don't want to be involved in the war, and the police are forcing them to, or the army.
On the battlefields of the east, Ukraine tries to repel the Russians. But on the western frontier, it's engaged in a different sort of war.
They're pulling all the Ukrainians out of the van, the army.
Here, the
police.
Authorities are trying to stop their citizens from getting out.
They don't want to go on the wall, the Ukrainians sort of escaping.
They're needed in the army. It's short of recruits. But there are thousands of Ukrainians, like these men caught near the border with Romania, who do not want to fight. We make contact with a man preparing to flee through the mountains of western Ukraine. He calls himself Ivan and says he can't wait any longer.
I'm not being disloyal. Everyone understands this. Many of my friends have already gone. Anyone who has the opportunity is leaving.
And in a groundbreaking interview, we meet a smuggler who helps young men flee before they're conscripted. Stas says he's not ashamed of what he does.
People simply aren't ready to die. Young people aren't ready to bury themselves alive. So they turn to us for help. A lot of people are turning to us.
Some call them traitors. Others say they're weak. But every day, the authorities catch men suspected of dodging the draft. And the number of deserters is expected to climb as the government lowers the enlistment age from 27 to 25. In December, the army said it needed up to 500,000 more troops. It's a very sensitive matter, said President Zelensky, but he has bowed to the wishes of his generals. 2 years ago, a great wave of volunteers raced to sign up. But exhaustion has set in at the front, and the army is struggling to replace them. These images show members of 3rd Brigade fighting for their lives in the city of Avdiivka. At their recruitment center, we found a few men and a woman making inquiries. Some apply to join specific units before the military makes the decision for them. Mikola is about to begin basic training.
Of course, it's unpleasant, but it's the harsh reality, I believe. Whether you like it or not, if you want to be useful, you're gonna have to, do whatever it takes.
Have you told your friends that you're doing this?
Actually, no. I didn't. No, I told my best friend, and she was surprised, because it's not common, obviously, to actually act and not just talk. But she wished me luck, of course.
The recruitment officer, Sergeant Koval, lost his left arm at the front. I asked him whether it puts people off.
If candidates are deterred by seeing my injuries in the flesh and choose to stay with us, well, they're our people.
Thanks for the like.
If they don't realize what could happen, then
thanks for liking the video. Thank you. Always helps to make new videos.
And unsentimental, like some of his colleagues nationwide. Recruitment officers have become increasingly aggressive, pulling men off the streets when they're suspected of avoiding military service.
Yep.
But these methods provoke real resentment in Ukraine. And that feeling may grow. A major mobilization bill is moving through Parliament, and that may allow the army to summon recruits via email. But Ivan's not going to wait for that.
У нас є люди, які зараз займаються.
There are people who will guide us through the forest where we are now. I can't say how it's happening, but I know there's a passage we can take. I just need some peace, you know? I want to live. For myself, first and foremost.
No problem, man.
He's really nervous. Very,
I'm autistic and
very
ADHD
jittery, but
myself.
He's not going to change his mind.
I just like doing videos. It's good to do videos. Yeah.
Ivan will pay $6,000.
Sometimes it's knackering
to
doing
escape.
videos. I mean, you can tell
The
I'm always
smuggler
tired
told us the
making
cost
videos.
has soared as he pays his contacts to look the other way.
Зараз я вам скажу, що є останні.
In the past 5 months, it's been very hard to work because border controls are tightening. They're checking everything. You know, it's easier to swim across than doing it by foot.
Is it a business? Is it about helping these young people? I mean, why are you doing this? Не хочу передати. Це без коментарів.
He didn't want to answer.
The Ukrainians are shooting the guns there.
The defense of Ukraine rests
The
on the
UK of
shoulders
helping the
of
Ukrainians with
middle-aged men.
the bullets and the ammunition and
They're battered and
Stuff.
bloody. Many need
it's
relief,
Russia.
but thousands of Ukrainians don't think it's their responsibility. The government will have to persuade them. John Sparks, Sky
I'll have to
News,
put another video
in
on.
Western Ukraine.
I mean, getting spoilt rotten today of all this war stuff. I mean, I can't believe what to say about it, to be honest. As you can tell, I'm holding the phone sideways because I'm holding it, filming the screen, and I've got to look for the, obviously, you see that there? Much down here. I hold that as well. Not easy holding two things at once. Alright, what else can we put on? There's not a great deal on a Friday. I think there could be, but I don't know. The Gaza thing was just 7 hours ago, but I suppose we can look at Gaza.
Welcome to this press briefing with Jimmy McGoldrick, who's with us online now. From OPT, Jamie wraps up his 3 months
I put the wrong thing on just a minute.
as humanitarian coordinator.
Yeah, it's the wrong one.
Welcome to
That's just
this,
talk. That's just
press
talking,
brief.
guys. I was just trying to find something I could put on we can watch instead of Right, okay. See, I'm trying to find things to put on. This takes ages. They don't seem to put many things on, do they? Half the time. I'm like flicking through everything. Other times I can find things straight away. It's just, you know, it may take me a couple of minutes to find things. I had to look through GB News. GB News. Let's look for that. Talk to the screen on it. I was hoping there was going to be a bit more things on here, unless I've covered most of the stuff. I mean, you got Joe Biden there. I mean,
apparently 8 in 10 swing state voters say that fentanyl misuse is a very important or somewhat important issue when they decide who they're going to vote for in November. So it is a massive problem for ordinary, normal, undecided Americans. Who's got the upper hand on this, Trump or Biden?
You know, it's hard to say. Fentanyl doesn't discriminate. It doesn't determine whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat if it's going to kill you. But I would certainly say if you look back at the Trump administration, his pro-drug enforcement policies, his border policies were more beneficial to degrading the cartel capabilities, whereas the Biden administration's policies on the open border, allowing in 6 million people in the last 4 years, has greatly enriched the capability of the cartels and expanded their opportunities to smuggle fentanyl into the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds absolutely shocking. The death toll is massive, and everyone can could see it happening. So the DEA at the moment, I mean, you must still have a lot of contacts in there or people who are in and around it. Are they just hanging their heads in shame that now, despite everything that they do, their caseload and their workload just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because of what's going on at the border, which is essentially out of their control?
Well, I would say that they're hanging their head. I mean, DEA recently indicted 8 major Chinese companies that were responsible for sending fentanyl precursors and fentanyl to the United States. They identified an additional 13 Chinese individuals, and then they reached out to the State Department. But in order to make progress, again, we're back to that bilateral relationship.
Holding the phone for so long.
China is not going to assist the DEA when they identify who these criminal organizations are in China. Then we're really
to find something to hold the phone with.
Because if we can't degrade what I call the center of gravity.
Can I just interrupt up there and ask you a quick question about that? Because I think that's an important point. Do you think this is part of a wider geopolitical attempt to destabilize the United States by some people who are not really allies, like the United States of America? Like China, I should say, aided and abetted potentially by the Russians as well.
Well, I think if you look at the history of Chinese aggression towards the United States in terms of intellectual espionage, weather balloons that are spying, cybercrime, certainly it's a quiet, what we call soft war, right? And perhaps China is simply choosing to look the other way while Chinese criminal organizations conspire with the cartels to degrade America's social moral fabric. This is what some would call China's 100-year war or death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, and that when you put it in those terms, this is why I think conversations like this need to be had purely from a national security point of view. Look, public health is one thing. That clearly doesn't seem to resonate too much when it comes to the actual decision makers about border security. But what about national security? If it was really hammered home to people, look, do you not think that our very moral fabric and societal norms are currently being undermined to the benefit of and by a state that could well end up being our enemy in 10, 20 years' time? Would that not get through to people more, do you think?
You would think so, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. There seems to be, a certain willful blindness amongst the American population to really understand where the threat emanates from.
Washington, D.C.,
we often have the conversation in America about fentanyl as though it's just dropping out of the sky, but there's not a real strong conversation on where does fentanyl come from, how is it made, and who are the major players behind the precursor chemical industry, and why isn't more being done to obtain better bilateral cooperation with China, if that's even possible? If not,
I mean, I'm from the UK, but I'm not from America, obviously. You can tell by how I'm speaking.
Michael, look, thank you very,
from
very
England.
much.
He's from England as well.
Really
America
is
is
back on. And I
I'm
hope,
British.
frankly, for the sake of you and everyone in America, that this fentanyl crisis and what's going on at the border stops very, very soon. That is Michael W. Brown, the former special agent at the DEA, giving us the inside look on the reality of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, there we go. What can I say about that? But not a great deal. I may have a break from this. This is kind of a short video I'm doing. The other videos I've done quite a few. It's kind of knackering doing videos. As you can tell, my eyes are gone all, it's just focusing on the screen. Anyway, I better go and upload this video and hope you all enjoyed it. So it's a short one, but I'll probably make longer ones later. Thank you for joining me. Take it easy. Peace. See you next one.